Welcome back to the Breakthrough Lab podcast. Today we're talking about mentorship. And before we get into that, we just wanted to give a little thank you to those of you out there who heard that episode that we did about celebrating your wins and reached out personally to congratulate us and celebrate us. It's very, very kind of you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
But enough about us and our wins. Let's talk about you. And specifically, we want to talk about you and your relationship with mentorship and coaching. Because we know that if you're listening to this podcast, you are the kind of person who wants success in your life. You probably have a vision for what you want to create in your life. You probably have goals that you set for yourself. Maybe, hopefully, you have goals that you set for yourself. If you listen to this podcast, you should by this point. And so maybe you have been chunking along in this year of 2024, and it's kind of taken you a while to get the result that you want, to feel like you're making progress towards your goals. Or maybe you don't really even know what to do to make those goals come to life, or you're facing problems along the way of getting to those goals being realized, and you don't know how to solve those problems yourself. In a sense, you're hitting a glass ceiling. You can see that there's room for you to grow, but you can't. I'm pantomiming on the screen here, but you can't break through that ceiling that you can see through, like you've hit some sort of cap or limiter, and it feels tough. You feel like you can't do it on your own. So you start thinking about mentorship. You think, oh gosh, if I just had someone who could hold my hand the whole way, maybe then I could solve these problems. So we want to talk to you about that on this episode. And you are right to be thinking those things. If you want to break through that glass ceiling that you don't seem to be able to get through, to have the success that you've been seeking and significantly speed up the process, you very much should get a coach or mentor. Because the truth is, if you're listening to podcasts like this or watching long form content on YouTube, or even just watching like 60-second clips on TikTok or whatever, that stuff is really great for entertainment. And maybe you'll grab a nugget or two if you found something really special on TikTok. Maybe you'll watch some longer stuff like this podcast or other podcasts or videos on YouTube. And those are great for learning and increasing your awareness about where you are, the situation you're in, and where you could potentially be out of that situation. But the real transformation for you is going to happen only when you begin to have some skin in the game, when you are working with someone, a coach. The mentorship that you get from someone who has accomplished the thing that you want to accomplish for yourself, or just working with someone like a coach who can help you get there. Because the truth is, all that information that you learn from watching the free content on YouTube, on podcasts, TikTok, whatever, it's not worth anything if you don't take action and implement it. And that's where accountability from a coach comes in play. Accountability from a mentor or a coach. The value you get from having someone who can show you your blind spots and help you take shortcuts along the path of implementation is worth its weight in gold.
Definitely. I can speak from my own past experience. I was actually just talking about this with someone the other day. The reason I've always been so successful in everything I've done is because I've always managed to find a mentor. And now the mentors that I would find would be someone within my organization who they also had skin in the game for me to succeed. And still, I would transition out of a role, see someone come into the exact same role that I was in with the exact same mentorship that I received, and I would see them not succeed in the same way that I did because they didn't accept the mentorship. They weren't coachable, if you will. And so I absolutely have gotten that feedback from anyone who has ever mentored me, that I was very coachable. I accepted feedback and that I took action. And so seeing those results in my life it's been a game changer for me. It has changed my mindset to the point where I don't ever perceive, I don't think about a situation and think, okay, how can I do this on my own? I always go into something with a mindset of okay, who can I partner with? Who can I find as a mentor? Who can I find as a coach? How do I need to invest in myself? Maybe by even investing in somebody else, training me, coaching me, teaching me so that I can get that result that I want more quickly. Because at the end of the day, I would rather have pay somebody to help me not make those mistakes. What I've come to realize just through my own life and observations and even being in the coaching industry is that there are 4 types of people out there when it comes to change. And the first type of person is, everyone knows some of these people who really don't care about changing. They're either not aware, they have no self-awareness, maybe very low emotional intelligence, and it's just not important to them to be any different than the way they are. It's almost like they have their head in the sand. They just are who they are, and you just put up with it. There's not really much thought that goes into anything beyond that. The second type of person is the person who realizes that there are things that they want to change about themselves, but they may be too afraid to look in the mirror and face what's there, what they may have to change. Or maybe they're just lazy, they may just not want to do the work for whatever the reason. Whatever the reason is, they're not actually ready for the change. They just know they want to change. They want things to be different, but they're not actually willing to do the work for one reason or another. Then you have the third type of person. This person is totally aware. They know they need to make a change. They know they want to make a change, and they go for it. They start taking action. And they may do the things that Joshua just alluded to earlier, which is they're consuming a lot of knowledge. They might not be putting it into action, or if they are putting it into action, maybe they're, again, because they don't have someone to guide them, they're not doing it in the most efficient of ways. There's a lot of trial and error. And that's because they think that they need to do it on their own, whether that is a limiting belief or some sort of self-worth issue, like they don't believe they deserve the help, or they just are proud. Whatever the case, they think, hey, I can do this and should do this on my own. I don't need to be bugging anyone else for this. And then you have the fourth type of person, and that's the person who has come to terms, kind of like the mindset shift that I just shared earlier, that, hey, it is awesome to have someone who can guide me on the path. And so I'm aware of the change that I want to make. I am super motivated to make it and willing to take the action. And I'm looking for someone who can help me get there more quickly. So the question is, which one of those are you, dear listeners?
Yeah. And one thing that trips people up with this is they often think that person who they're going to ask for help, if they're that type 4 person who knows they need and should get help and they're ready to get it, they often can think that the person who they are going to get help from needs to be older than them or fit inside of a certain.
They may have limiting beliefs around what that person may look like, be like, sound like.
Yeah, and in my experience, I've had mentors who were older than me, and I've had mentors who were younger than me. What was important was that they had the experience and had achieved the result that I wanted for myself. And whenever I set aside my ego about, oh, this person's younger than, in truth, I didn't have an ego around that, but a lot of people do. Like a lot of times a person who's older will think that they shouldn't, they're better somehow than to work with a mentor, have someone mentor them or help them or coach them even who is younger than them or, less experienced, quote unquote. And that's not a helpful mindset to have.
It can be a story or a reason that we give ourselves to not take a chance on ourselves at the end of the day.
So when you are beginning this process of finding yourself a mentor, the first thing you should be doing is getting clear on your outcome. Like, what is it that you're hoping that finding a mentor is going to get you in the first place? And also take stock of where you're at right now and where you want to be. Like, what's your outcome for this?
What's the gap that you're trying to fill?
So once you know what you want, you can begin to look for the person who can get you that result, who can help guide you along the path to getting that result. And the fact is, when you are looking for a mentor or a coach in this, you should only be taking advice from people who have gotten what you want, gotten the result that you want, who are where you want to be, who are living the lifestyle that you want to have, who have achieved the result that you want to achieve. For example, I wouldn't take advice on how to make a marriage work from a guy who's 2 divorces deep. I just wouldn't, even if he had something valuable to say. I'm much sooner going to be taking advice from a guy who's been in one marriage and he's super, super fulfilled and happy, and his wife's happy and they're in love. And the same logic applies to everything. You want to get in shape, get yourself a trainer who's in shape. I've been in gyms before where I've seen some of the personal trainers who are just absolutely not fit and they're lacking in flexibility. And I'm like, why? How? If you want to have better mental health, find someone who overcame their own mental health stuff. Don't take advice from the people online who are calling themselves mental health advocates, who tell you at the same time that it's not possible to cure yourself of your issues, because at that point, they're actually advocating for mental illness. You want to become financially independent? Get a coach/mentor who is financially independent and makes their money doing the thing they're teaching you how to do.
They're not just teaching you about it and how to do it. They've also experienced the success in it already and now are teaching others how to do it too.
Yeah. Sometimes there's people out there who will like sell courses or whatever on how to make money online, and they don't actually make their money. They didn't make their money that way. They made their money by selling a course. So you really want to avoid that type of person. Also, when you're buying, assessing whether or not you should buy a course or sign up for a coach or whatever, don't listen to your friends and family about how it's a scam, because it's not. And I've done that and it held me back until it didn't, when I stopped listening. And since we're talking about coach/mentor, what I just said there, I think it's probably a good time to talk about something that can get a little bit confusing for some people. And that is, make sure you're not confusing coaches, mentors, and role models and advisors. Mentors versus role models. Some people say you can find a mentor in a book. I've heard that before. Like, you don't need to pay for a mentor. You can just pick up a book. That author is your mentor now. No, when you buy a book, you find a role model. A mentor or a coach is someone who's going to be interacting with you directly, who's guiding you through the ins and outs of how they do what they do, and they have a personal interest in your success. They're going to be helping you solve specific problems, usually the ones that they've experienced before, especially if they're a mentor, showing you their systems and tools and holding you accountable to your goals. Whereas role models are kind of just people you look up to. There's not necessarily a relationship there. And they haven't necessarily gotten the specific result that you want either. It's kind of like that saying, all squares are rectangles, but not every rectangle is a square. Coaches versus mentors, I would say that a mentor is someone who helps you get a result that they have gotten themselves. And a coach is someone who helps you get something that they haven't necessarily gotten themselves, but they have the skills to help you get there. A mentor will teach you how to reach a certain goal. A coach helps you figure out how to do it yourself and helps you question if you really want it in the first place. Mentors can also coach. Not all coaches can be your mentor, just because a mentor is coming from a place of having the same result that you're looking for. So I could coach someone on how to win a bodybuilding competition. I haven't done that. I do know a fair amount about exercise, physiology, nutrition, diet, etc. And the bigger skill set that I provide to the relationship is coaching skills.
Yeah, I think that's a really great distinction, because I think a lot of people might get into coaching and think, oh, you're going to teach me how to do this exact thing that you did. And no, that's mentorship. That's primarily saying, I've already gotten this exact path laid out and I'm going to replicate it and show you how to do it. And that is mentorship. Whereas a coach is skilled, especially if you find someone like an NLP coach, because NLP is based on modeling, will be able to help you look at what others have done and help you figure out how to do that too. Even if it's maybe not even in your industry, you're able to model others and using also advanced coaching skills. So I know that you absolutely can have a mentor that acts as a coach for you. And unless they're actually trained as a coach, I wouldn't count on the same skill set, if that makes sense. So they're slightly different, unless you get a coach who has also done the same thing as you, because sometimes that happens. You may need someone to help you, and that person happens to have already done something that you want to do, and they can do a combination of mentorship and coaching.
Yeah.
So once you find that incredible coach or mentor and you see the value that they can bring you in reaching your goals, holding you accountable, then unless there's someone within your organization, kind of like the examples I shared with my personal story below, then pay them. They're absolutely going to bring you value, and you can express your appreciation and put the energy forth by paying them, compensating them for all of the energy that they're also going to be pouring into you. The years upon years upon years of training, experience that they're now going to help you cut your time to progress in half, or maybe even better in some cases. one of the things that sometimes people do, it used to be really common practice, is to ask someone to pick their brain over coffee. So it's kind of like saying, hey, can you please just share all of your secrets with me? Secrets isn't the right word. Like, hey, can you please just tell me everything that you've done to create success? But I don't want to pay for it, but I will buy you coffee.
Yeah.
Can you see how that
happens.
might see? It still happens. And
because
I think
I've had people in my life. Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
People will come to me when they see what I'm doing in my life and they want to pick my brain. They literally say, I want to, take you out to lunch and pick your brain. And it's about how I make money online. And I always am like, I always find a way to opt out of that. It just makes me cringe. I'm like, no, I don't want to have my brain picked. First of all, that doesn't even sound pleasant. The visual there, it's like, nah. Second, it's just, why would you not respect my time? And I think the thing is people maybe they think that mentorship should be free or something. And that's just, no, not the case. I've paid for mentorship and the results that I've gotten from that have been insane good. On the other hand, if someone had been like, they want to take me out to lunch or whatever and been like, hey, I am so inspired by what you're doing. I want to work for you to learn all this stuff. That's an entirely different conversation. Mm-hmm. Then please share all of your secrets for free. So ultimately it just comes down to committing to that relationship with a person.
Yeah. And the benefit of finding, again, somebody who has the specific skill set to help you in achieving these goals, whether it is a mentor or if it is a coach, is that you're finding someone who is at the same time rooting for you, but also is removed enough from your life that they're not just going to act as your biggest fan. If you have someone like, a sibling maybe, or a cousin or BFF or a parent that is acting as your mentor, sometimes those lines can get a little bit fuzzy, just depending, maybe they do something like coaching for a living and can create those boundaries in that definition. But otherwise, if they're just agreeing with everything that you say and it's like an echo chamber, then you're not really getting the value out of that. You're just getting somebody who agrees with everything you say instead of someone who's going to challenge you and who's going to make you question yourself, your ideas, and make sure that you're actually in alignment with what it is that you're trying to achieve so that you can propel yourself that much more quickly. And so this is a good point to just recap what the best way is to find a mentor. So the steps is, the first one is to eliminate any of your biases, about what they should look like, what age they should be, what gender they should be, and really focus more on aligning what your outcome is with what they have achieved, what their skill set is. So that's step 2, to get clear on your outcome. So first step kind of correlates with eliminating baggage, right? Second step is get clear on your goal, like what it is that you want.
Wow.
And then, And then the third step is to figure out, like, once you have that conversation, you have taken action and had a conversation with them, or maybe several different options for you, determine if it's a good mutual fit. You guys are going to know. If there's not good chemistry there, then maybe that's not, even if they sound amazing on paper, they might not be the one for you. And then step 4, once you have found that match, you struck that match and you're feeling the good vibes and you can see clearly how partnering with this person is going to help you get to your goals more quickly than you ever imagined possible, make the commitment. Show your commitment either by paying them if it's going to be that sort of relationship. And if it's not, make the commitment to be coachable. If you are in a situation where you are able to receive mentorship or coaching for free, be coachable. Don't just cherry pick the things that you like that they say. Honor them by learning from them. 100% committing to really gaining the knowledge and the wisdom that they have. After you've reached a certain point of mastery, of course, you can start to question. I'm not saying don't ever question anything, but it's kind of like if you have I know I relate everything to kids, but The kids are such great examples. When you have a child and you tell them, don't touch the hot stove, you really want them to just not do it because you know that they're going to get hurt. There's certain things that you just need to listen to and master and learn the foundation and the concepts first before you can begin to branch out so that you are in a good, safe space. And that's how you can honor really any coach or mentor, not just the ones who may be doing it for, no payment.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's take it back to the 4 types of people. First type of person, they don't even know that they're messed up. They got problems. They don't know it. And they don't want to know it. They don't want to change. They just want to stay as they are. Second type of person, they know that they've got problems that maybe they need to change, but they don't want to. Maybe they're afraid, they're lazy, whatever. Third person is they know they need to change and they want to, and they think that the way that they're going to do it is by doing it all themselves. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Eventually.
Maybe they'll do that. Maybe they will. It'll take a while. Fourth type of person, they know. They know. They're ready. They're open. They're willing. They're coachable. They know that the best way to get that change is to get leverage, find a mentor, find a coach who can help them do it much faster because they're tired of wasting time. They're tired of hoping that things are going to get better. And they know that even though they could do it all on their own, it would be so much better and faster to get a coach or a mentor. And so if you are in that fourth bucket, if you're that fourth type of person, you're ready, you're open, you're willing. If you are in a place where you feel like you want to make a change, you're stuck, you're overwhelmed, you're not accomplishing the tasks, or you're just struggling to grow your business to the next level, take your life to the next level in some way, level up your health, your relationship, and you're ready to stop wasting time on the path to get there, then we want to work with you. Because we only accept people into our programs who are ready and open and willing and will show up and commit and do the work. And so if that's you, check the show notes. We're going to include some links in there that are going to give you various ways that you can reach out to us and take that first step and start that conversation.
We'll take a deep dive, have a conversation about what your goals are, what's been holding you back, and how we can help you to bridge the gap between your vision and where you currently are in a way that is so much faster than you ever thought possible. And on that note, we leave you be.
Love that. Oh, that's one of my favorite endings so far. Okay. May the force be with you.
Okay, bye.